Guys, this is Mehul Mehta and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk to you about whether do we need the knowledge of competitive programming for quant finance related jobs or not. See, I'll say the answer to this question is it depends. If you are someone who's aiming for a quant developer job, then definitely you should know the knowledge of competitive programming. But if you are someone who's aiming for a quant researcher jobs, quant analyst job, risk analyst related jobs, then I feel you do not need to know the knowledge of competitive programming, but what you should actually know is how to build the model, starting from cleaning the data, building the making like taking in all these different assumptions and then building the models. I'll explain you by taking an example. So if you see any organization, right, they hire a bunch of developers, risk related people, quant researchers, quant analysts, right? So what happens is if let's say there's any need of developing a quantitative model, right? So the need goes to all these different teams. Let's say it can be either to a quant researcher team or a quant analyst team or a risk analyst team, depending on what's the problem, right? Whether do we need to use the quantitative model for risk management, or do we need to use it for pricing any asset pricing, right? Or do we need to build any trading strategies or something like that? So it depends on what is the your kind of problem, and then it goes to the specific team. And once it goes to these different teams, their main role, if you see quant researcher, quant analyst, or risk analyst, their main role is to come up with a new model. Okay, so how do they develop a model? I'll give you a very simple example, right? Let's take let's take value at risk, which is a risk model, right? So when you basically use a value at risk model, when you build a value at risk model, you take certain assumption, such as the distribution of your stocks follows a normal distribution, right? But my question is, what will happen if the distribution does not follow a normal distribution? If you see the pandemic period, right? During the COVID 2020, the distributions were not following normal distribution. So as a modeler or as a quant researcher, what will you do? So because value at risk model is used to basically capture the tail risk, which is basically to capture the loss in your portfolio. So you can take other distributions such as student tree distribution. So the student tree distribution is good with capturing the tail risk because it has a fatter tail as compared to a normal distribution which has a thinner tail, right? So assumption like this needs to be changed, and of course there will be specific changes in the model too. So you need to focus on more on these part, right? So if like how to come up with new ideas, with how to develop a model which is already which is already there but is not performing up to the mark. So basically once the model is developed, right, assuming like the model has it's taken some months, and once the model is developed, then it goes to the validation team. So what the validation team does is it makes sure like the model is good to use. They validate each and every step, starting from cleaning the data, then what assumptions have you made, and then is your model actually being utilized for the right purpose? So there are definitely a lot of validation rules that applies when you validate all these quant models. So once the model has been validated, then in the end, it goes to the quant developer team. So the main role of quant developer team is to put all these models into production, and that is why you see all people do refer the quant developers as quant implementers. Their main purpose is to implement the model in production, and that is why I feel like all this quant developer related position you should definitely have the knowledge of competitive programming, because it will definitely help you to write optimize codes, basically optimize the whole codes. And once your code is optimized, it actually reduces the overall time for the production, and it increases the efficiency also. So that's where I feel if you're someone who really enjoys the whole idea of competitive programming, or who can who really likes this, then you should definitely go for a quant developer position. But if you're someone who's like me, who likes to work on big amount of data, basically it can be cleaning the data, or it can be for any other, I mean building the whole model from scratch, then you should definitely aim for quant researcher, quant analyst, and risk analyst related positions. Also, I'll give you one more example just to make you understand how these both roles are so different. So let's say if the team comes with you and they say, can you recalibrate the model with the let's say, can you calibrate the model with the new data set, because the market data is updating every time, and of course we have a bunch of data that is new, and you need to make sure your model is also updated with the new data. So in the calibration process, there are different calibration, people, quants, they use different calibration techniques. Few of them can be maximum likelihood estimator. MLE is a concept which is taught in our engineering classes, right? So it is actually used for calibrating the quant models. Similarly, you have this least square estimator or least square method, which is actually used to calibrate your model with the new market data. So how what I feel is you should be really good with understanding all this, statistical part of it, and how to use the statistical and mathematical part in your whole finance, in the application of finance. So if you're someone who enjoys this whole, the statistical mathematical side of it, then I feel definitely you should go for a quant researcher or quant analyst related or risk analyst related jobs. But if you're someone who enjoys programming and stuff, then I mean, competitive programming. When I say programming, of course, competitive programming, because all this quant researcher, risk related people, they also use programming. I use programming all day. I code all day. So it's not like, oh, I don't use programming. But there's a difference. There's a difference between writing codes which are highly optimized versus developing quantitative models. So I enjoy more of developing quantitative models from scratch, or just to recalibrate the quantitative models. But if you're so you need to understand which spectrum do you lie in, and once you have decided, then you should actually focus on that. So I hope this video has helped you. And if you have any more questions, do comment on the YouTube section video, on the YouTube comment section, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you so much.